amazing movie we just saw.
Yes, yes. Today we watched Daddy's Head.
This movie was interesting to say the least. The best word I can come up with to describe how I felt at the end of this is unfinished. Didn't connect the dots, in my opinion. And I don't know if it was supposed to be open to interpretation. Maybe they wanted to keep it open-ended for a reason. I guess we could just give a brief overview of what the movie is about. The movie follows Isaac, which is the son.
Laura's the wife. James is the father. And Robert is the friend.
The movie starts with basically the father is in the hospital, bandaged up and stuff, presumably on his way out of here. Sure enough, he was. He dies or whatever. And they hint towards it being like a vehicle accident, but they never really confirm that that's the case. He was an architect, left her a lot of money. She also had a stepson by him. That child lost his mom, which is his first wife, and then now he's losing his dad. So he's left with his stepmother, who never wanted kids and is an alcoholic.
It just gets weird. It's definitely like an analogy on like grief. Like both of them are mourning a loved one, obviously the father, James, who has passed, and they're kind of going through the motions and they're not connecting, which is the big hurdle that they had there, is that they're not connecting. First, she tells, I guess their version of CPS that, no, I'll keep them. I don't want them in the system. But like she slowly but surely sees that she like maybe can't handle this, paired with her like non-stop drinking. All of a sudden, all these weird occurrences happen, like lights in the forest. She goes out there for some ungodly reason to see the lights, and that's when they kind of hint at the car accident. Another time you see like this giant cloud of smoke, they don't even explain that. And the crows are freaking out over the smoke, which I would have left immediately. I'm like, okay, let's go. I'm not gonna stay in the forest because they live in this house in the middle of nowhere. It's like this beautiful house, miles and miles of like forest in any direction around it. It kind of comes to a head when the dog is freaking out in the house. They see like this thing behind the table. It's like this black ball, maybe like 3 or 4 feet tall. The dog like launches at it and the thing just takes off and crashes through a window. And I'm like, and that scared the shit out of me. That wasn't the first time I got scared. I think I got scared by this other like vision when she was in the forest, but that was like the second time, like around the 20-minute mark. It scared the shit out of me, man. Guess what they do? They stay in the fucking house.
We were like, you should have been gone so long ago. And this thing shows up like 2 or 3 times. It seems to be communicating to Isaac, basically showing up as his dad. And so obviously in his stage of grief, not really wanting to accept that his father's gone, also having lost his biological mother, it was easy for him to be susceptible to whatever that thing was. Attention that they was trying to get from him, he was giving it. Because there was a disconnect between him and Laura, it was also easy to sort of like to think that she was the enemy to some degree. Now, as if that wasn't bad enough, then we enter Robert into the situation. So Robert is James's friend, comes around to help out. We think he was coming around for some other reasons too.
We were joking about that, okay? We were joking, but there were no real indications that he was doing that. He was actually just being a stand-up guy, taking care of his best friend's girl and son, to the point where he actually told her like, I'll take him off your hands and raise him. I already raised 2 daughters. I can help raise him too. So he's a really good guy.
Because at one point, she was like really drunk and just losing her shit. It was when it kind of like got to be too much, and she came on to him and he like was like, nah, we're not doing that, go to bed. So he never tried anything.
There was a little subtext like how like there might be like a little bit of an attraction between the two.
Yeah, but he did seem to keep things on the up and up. But when she did come on to him, Isaac saw it, because prior to that, whatever that thing is was like, it was an event. And Isaac is talking to her. This is right before she lost her shit. And the thing is telling him, like, don't trust them. They're against you, blah, blah, blah. And then fast forward, he sees her kiss Robert. So he's thinking that his enemy, trying to replace his dad. And so Isaac walks Robert into the forest where this fucking thing is at. Robert gets his ass beat.
Technically, he beat his own ass running.
But the next thing we see is he's in the goddamn hospital room. Yeah. None of this shit made sense. No, you know what's funny too? At the point where she's like losing her shit, there's a part where
His face, he's like, this pussy ain't worth this.
after that, the damn thing shows up at the house again because at that point she's like, I don't know what to do because fucking thing is in the house. Which I don't understand why the first goddamn instinct wasn't just remove yourself from the house. I get that that's where he grew up at, and that was, may have connected him to his dad. Another thing was his mom was buried, and so the father wanted to be buried near her so that he can have somewhere to go. So I get wanting to stay for that reason, but at the same time, this fucking thing is tormenting y'all. Why y'all still there? Look, I'll keep the property for you. I won't sell it or nothing, but we gotta get up out of here. I don't know what that thing is. They stay around. This is not even gonna be a long review because it doesn't make sense.
It's like an analogy on grief.
Yeah, that's what it seems like.
The worse their grief got, the more that creature shows up. Everything kind of comes up to a crescendo, and she does what a mother does when she opens the door and sees that thing like lying on top of him.
Oh, that was a good part. That scared the shit out of you, didn't it?
Oh, there's multiple times that scared me, but that was the first time you got like a real good look at it. You know what I'm saying? And you just see this like frozen Joker face smile laying on top of the kid, and then it like head rose up, and I was like, oh shit! Runs at her, slams its face in the fucking door, and gives her a whole like splits her wig, and now she just like has a concussion, blood pouring out her head. And this thing is running up the walls and shit. And that's the first time the boy saw his face on this. That motherfucker was like, oh yeah. And he just started screaming.
You're probably right in that this is like the stages of grief. And that's when he saw, the monster for what it is. And then he wanted to protect his stepmother.
Yeah, because she came in there and hugged him, but she's like delirious because she has a concussion. He pulled out the knife that he said he didn't have to like protect both of them. And the thing is like stalking them and like saying, Isaac, come with me, be a family. And then she turns around and just goes like Kratos from God of War on this thing and just stabs the shit out of him.
And she redeemed herself in that moment because I was like so frustrated with this woman. Like, although I understand that she was also grieving, I'm looking at it like from a parent's perspective. No matter what's going on in the world, we still have to be parents. You have the resources, you have the money. You're not held up in that way. Like, you don't have to worry about whether rent is going to get paid or anything like that, right?
She had all that wine, okay? She didn't want to have to go buy liquor in the city.
She was lit every day. You got to get up.
Get up, get on up.
You got to wake up. Like you're the only person this kid has. He's lost both of his biological parents. And at some point she admits that she never wanted to be a mother. So I guess she had to come to that realization and maybe come to the access that like nurturing part of her. There's a lot of women that feel like they never want to be parents. Sometimes it's because they don't think they have a nurturing way about them or a nurturing side to them. And maybe she had to access that, and seeing that monster there kind of made her tap into that and maybe made her feel like, okay, I could do this. I was frustrated with her, but in that point I was like, all right, you redeem yourself. And so it ends, he's older, walking around the property. He goes to
It was like a copy off of one of the father's architectures. After they show you the first time, it just looks like this unnatural structure made out of wood. Later on, Laura's looking at her husband's sketches and she sees one of them. Who knows if it was their imaginations or if it was actually real, but it looked like it might have been like a tree house or something like that. But like it's way bigger inside than it is outside.
he goes into it and he sees like,
Well, he sees a picture of his father first, him and his father. I always thought that picture was weird because they showed it like the smile, but he might have been just hamming it up for his kid and they took a picture, right? Well, that's the exact same face that this creature had on. Like it was this weird like smile. And then yeah, like you said, you see this like skeleton where like it didn't have like any facial structure on top of it. And it was definitely like a creature. And then he goes home and then he walks in the door and he calls her mom. And then first you don't know who it is, but then you hear the voice, you think it might be Laura, and you might think that she's gonna be all looking all crazy and stuff and drunk, but then she just looks at him and says yes, and then it's like, oh, so they they made it.
Can we give an honorable mention to like the real MVP in this movie? Motherfucking Bella. Bella was the German Shepherd. Yo, they had a dog, German Shepherd. We didn't even get to this part because this shit was tragic. My girl was not playing around. Every time that fucking monster showed up, Bella was on his ass.
Like, this dog lasted way longer than most dogs in horror movies. I'm gonna be completely honest. The first time, she must have got it, because when they touched Bella, I was, is this her blood? No, that was that thing's blood. She got a bit it or something. Isaac was in the bushes talking to her, and that bitch was like, oh no, he out there again. Let me outside. Yo, that dog was running.
Bella was on sight.
Bella was from the hood. It wasn't playing, bro.
So shout out to Bella. Just wanted to mention Bella because Bella really was doing what she was supposed to do. But unfortunately, the monster got Bella. But yeah, that's the way the movie ended. Like, they apparently got it together. It may have been the stages of grief, but then that went unanswered too. So like, we get to see that there was actually something in the woods, right, with the skeleton. We get to see that there was a picture there, so it's presumably that the thing used a picture to mimic, right? So there was something there because Bella did get killed by something. It just felt unfinished. Like, it felt like it could have been a lot better had certain dots have been connected. We didn't even get a backstory as to where that thing could have came from. It was disappointing that we've been asking to watch a bad movie, and this wasn't a bad movie.
Nah, it was mediocre. It had potential.
I felt like I was edged. That's how I feel.
It had at least 3 jump scares that got me. So I'm not even gonna sit here and lie. And that ending part when they actually showed it, I was like, oh shit. Yeah, you're right. It definitely felt unfinished. But like I said, I think it was definitely on grief because, like I said, the worse their relationship and the worse their grief got, the more that thing showed up. But then when they eventually came together to beat it, when he's older, obviously, and they are an actual family, you know, like they killed the grief. There's tons of movies that do this type of thing, trying to like be deep and have it like being like a double entendre. If you're gonna at the end show that the monster's real, you need to have some kind of explanation of like what the fuck it is or something. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, you got to give us a little explanation, a little exposition on it, and that's where this movie kind of falls flat. Like I said, the atmosphere was good. None of the acting was bad.
No, the acting was good.
The cinematography was good. Really, the story is what puts a fork in it. I'm gonna be generous. I'd give this movie like a 6. It's like not the worst thing I've ever watched. I wasn't like, it was disappointing, but I'm not sitting there like, man, I wasted my time watching it, because some parts of it was good. I can't recommend it, but if you watch it, you know, you might like it more than I did, that's for sure. You might like it less. We got this movie from Shudder. People asked us to tell them where they may be able to watch this. So if you're in the US on Shudder, I know Shudder is a cable channel, but they might also be a streaming. Everything has a fucking streaming platform now.
I'm gonna be a little bit more generous and give it a 6.5. I mean, for the same reasons. Like, I didn't hate it, and I didn't even find myself being bored by it or nothing like that. There were jump scares. Like you said, the acting was good. Everything about it was good, like in terms of quality. The storyline is where I was definitely left wanting more. At least wanting my questions to be answered. And they weren't even, I didn't get anything, I feel like.
Well, you gotta wait till the sequel. Daddy's head too.
Daddy's arm.
And Daddy's legs.
I don't know if I recommend it. Like, if you ask me, hey, what movie do you think I should watch? It wouldn't come to mind.
Like, if you were bored and you want to watch a horror flick and you have Shudder and like you see it, like, yeah, whatever, you know?
Yeah, you won't be mad at it.
All right, now get out. We'll see you later. Bye.
Later.